Your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We're a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money. I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, well, I don't know, do we say we're celebrating today or do we say we're remembering today? Patriot Day, National Day of Service and Remembrance. September 11th, 2001, 23 years ago. Where were you? Question of the day. Do you remember where you were that fateful day? September 11th, 2001. And I think it was Toby Keith that wrote the song. Where were you on that fateful day? I think we've got that on our board somewhere, but I could tell you exactly where I was because that wasn't a fun place. Yeah, there it is. Well, if my board worked, it would be there. For some reason, it decided that it's gonna. My board went on break. Okay, haven't used that one in a while. So theme songs, Josh. Apparently that board's not working properly right now. Yeah, okay. So, but I happen to be sitting in some training, Merrill Lynch campus, Princeton, New Jersey. We were in training back there for the week, and we had just gone out for a break. Now, Merrill Lynch has a big campus there, hotels right on campus, and theaters and training rooms and all that kind of stuff right there on campus. Happened to be there, and it was, about 9, a little after 9 in the morning, Eastern time, and saw the planes going into the towers. Conference over. All right, so we were there. I think that if I remember correctly, it was a Tuesday. So we had our courses on Monday, conference over Tuesday. Might have been Monday. But I remember that very little going on. The rest, they wouldn't let us leave. We were there on company business, and they said, well, as long as you're here, you're part of, this is company time. And not that we did anything. We just were watching the news as everybody else was. Next morning, some of the folks that worked at Merrill Lynch at the World Financial Center, right across the street from the Trade Center, we had breakfast with them. Not pleasant conversations. And personally, my family was lucky. My parents were actually supposed to be on the Newark flight. They were booked on that Newark flight that particular day. And my parents were always very, very, or it was a Tuesday. Okay, thanks, Josh. My parents were always very, very early for flights. And they caught a flight out in Newark, the flight right before that, heading back to Southern California. So they missed the plane that would not have let them come home. So, yeah, that's not a pleasant time. Actually called home. And I woke up my family, and my wife said, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. I said, keep the kids home today. Don't worry. Just humor me. I'm 3,000 miles away. Humor me. Thankfully, she did. And, it's a day to remember. 2,977. 2,977 is the number of souls lost that day. Sad day. Moving right along, National Hot Cross Bun Day. I'm a foodie, so I like bread of any sort. National Hot Cross Bun Day. Rise and shine to the tasty treat. Currants or raisins baked into the bun add a sweet flavor. As noted in the name, this baked good, it's marked with a cross to make the cross. Bakers use a doughy paste baked into the bread. Sometimes icing is used to make the cross instead. I like icing in there. Okay, let's see what else is going on. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 352 points. That's getting a little bit better. The S&P 500 down 25. NASDAQ up 29. Oil up $1.48 a barrel. I bet Joe was sleeping through the lower numbers yesterday. And I bet he didn't start filling the Strategic Petroleum Reserve with any of the oil at the cheaper prices. Of course, they like to spend our money as much as they can. Speaking of spending our money, did you watch the debate last night? Josh, did they have the debate running on TikTok? Or just highlight? Josh doesn't do regular TV. He's a streamer. But like a lot of folks that are in the millennial world, they get their news from TikTok. I'm on there a little bit, not as much as some. I haven't looked yet to see about what the debate coverage was. It's interesting when you watch a debate, though. You would think that you would get moderators, and it's not sour grapes. It's just analysis. The moderators did challenge President Trump on his answers several times. Not one time did they challenge the vice president on her answers. Do you call that a 3-on-1 debate? Is that what that one was? You look at it, and I think even on CNN they made some comments, which is kind of surprising. But even on CNN they made comments that the moderators seemed like they were a bit biased. Now, does that really surprise anybody that we see bias in the media?
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
And some of the names that the moderators have called President Trump in the past. Now, I have no problem. I'm a big believer. Here's my thoughts on this. I am not a newscaster. I make comments on everything. I'm an equal opportunity commenter. And it seems to me that, I also lead a lending team. At the end, any time we do any kind of advertising, if you watch any of our radio programs, or if you watch us, or if you listen to us on radio, or watch us on any of our social channels, the very last, 20, 30 seconds, Josh, is it, or something like that? We put up a board that has all of our compliance stuff, all of our licensing information. Why don't they do the same thing for on the news broadcasts? Okay, Sean Hannity is not a newscaster. He's a commentator. They should put down commentator. Brett Baer, he does newscasting. Put down newscasting. Whenever I listen to, Eric Spielman say here in Los Angeles on KTLA, as soon as they say the word false something, unless it's adjudicated, that's a personal opinion. That's not a report. If you want to say that President Trump has consistently challenged the validity of the election, that's fact. That's news. That's reporting. When you say that he's falsely challenged, well, now you've gone into commenting. Just throw that out there. Why don't we have the label on there that says these are commentators, these are opinions, and these are straight news? We'd like to get back to the days where we actually get straight news. Where can you actually go for straight news right now? Got to pay for it. So I do pay for 3 or 4 different news services that I use. I believe that they give us fact-based reporting. Everything they tell us, they have a source for. Not like the New York Times, where it's anonymous sources or the campaign says. Well, the campaign is not the candidate. You want to hear what the candidate has to say, not what the campaign has to say, and then the candidate can go, I didn't say that. Or you even heard that from President Trump last night when they were talking about one item, and they said that J.D. Vance made this comment. He said, well, J.D. and I sometimes have differing opinions. He doesn't speak for me. Love that. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, the real story behind what's happening with home prices, what credit card users need to know if the Fed cuts rates in September. Tiny behavioral shifts can lead to big changes in your finances. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
As the economy slows, do you know anyone worried about job loss? At Siegel Lending Team, we offer the Home Select Loan. Think of it as a financial superhero cape for homeowners with good income and credit. It not only saves your home, but also throws a life ring to your credit score. Because who needs stress when you can have peace of mind? Let's secure your future with a smile. Visit rsrhomeselect.com. rsrhomeselect.com. NMLS 217037.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They don't tell us points paid, points received, or APR. They tell us the number you need to put in your mortgage calculator if you want to get the monthly payment, principal, and interest. If you don't have a mortgage calculator, ronismylender.com, ronismylender.com. What did rates do yesterday? Latest data we have. It's all based on yesterday's average locking. Conventional 30-year fixed down 6.19. Jumbo 30-year fixed up 6.756. That looks almost the same as yesterday. FHA 30-year fixed up 5.991. VA 30-year fixed down 5.638. USDA was did I miss something here? Okay, wait a second. Let's go and let me look right over here. Here we go. 30-year. Oh, they're all down. 30-year conforming 6.163. That was down yesterday. 30-year jumbo 6.551. That was down. 30-year FHA 3.962. That was down. 30-year VA 5.51. That was down nicely yesterday. 30-year USDA 5.986. That was down as well. Those are all down yesterday. Love to see all the down arrows. So we'll watch all of those for you. Let's take a look and see what the markets are doing today. Well, now we've got the S&P 500 down 30.06. And I lost my screen here on the 10-year Treasury. Let's see if I can get that back here for you. You gotta love, don't you love modern technology? I love modern technology. Okay, so the 10-year Treasury is up 2 basis points. That's a yield. The 30-year mortgage bond price down, which means rate is up, but the bond's only down 4 basis points, so it doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. So what's driving all of this data? That's what we're going to look at now. Well, it's stubborn shelter CPI costs. So if you look at the CPI numbers, that's the biggie. Stocks lower, mortgage bonds flat after the release of the Consumer Price Index report for August. 10-year is continuing to move lower, down. It was down, it's up. It's right, moving pretty minimally. Speaking of the 10-year, there's going to be a 10-year Treasury note auction later today, which can impact the bond market. Last month, we saw a weak 10-year auction back when yields were at 3.95%, over 30 basis points higher. Clearly, investors were incorrect by not purchasing as many as they could before rates fell. Remember, the bond price and the yield go in opposite directions. We'll see if they learned their lesson and if there is strong demand at today's auction, which would help yields to fall. Consumer Price Index report showed that overall inflation rose 0.2% for the month, in line with estimates. Year-over-year inflation decreased from 2.9 to 2.5, which was softer than the 2.6 expected. Topping the headline was a 0.8% decline in energy prices, 0.6% decline in gasoline prices. Just heard the stat yesterday. California, 28% of our gas price is taxes and fees. 28%. Now, think about that number. At 28% is taxes and fees. And if you look at it yesterday, according to AAA, our gasoline price here in California was $4.75. 28% of $4.75 means we would be probably around somewhere around $3.50 a gallon. Oh, the national average is $3.25. Think about that one. Okay. So gas prices came down, but not for us in California. If you analyze the last 3 months of headline readings, the year-over-year inflation rate would be 1.14. If you annualize the last 3 months of core readings, the year-over-year reading would be 2.04. Clearly shows that the trend is favorable and the core rate is on track for what the Fed wants to see. Inflation data was good today despite shelter costs, which makes up 45.7% of the core index. Shelter rose 0.5% last month and 5.2% year over year, which is an increase from 5.1% in the previous report. The monthly reading was disappointing, showing that shelter is yet to catch up and reflect the real world. Shelter alone made up roughly 82% of the monthly inflation rise in August. 82% of the inflation came from shelter alone. Motor vehicle insurance has been the other culprit that has been contributing to inflation. It rose 0.6% last month, which is a moderation from what we've been seeing, but still high. Year over year, motor vehicle insurance decreased from 18.6 to 16.5, but that is down from over 23% months ago. Today's monthly reading annualized is 7.2%, so more similar readings would help this component continue to moderate. When combining shelter and motor vehicle insurance, this is big. It made up 89% of the inflation we saw in August. All of the other items only rose 0.03%. On a year-over-year basis, all the other items are only up 0.2%, which means that most of the inflation has been tamed besides lagging shelter and motor vehicle insurance. Bottom line, today's report did not change anything in regards to the Fed. The Fed is likely going to cut rates 1/4 of a basis point next week on September 18th. There's a 15% chance of a 50 basis point cut based on what the market feels, but it's most likely 25. What's more important is that there is the beginning of a rate cutting cycle. The market has 100 basis points of cuts priced in this year, which means that if we see 25 basis points next week, the Fed will have to cut 50 basis points either in November or the December meeting. Now, be aware, right now, the Fed is on what they call the quiet period. I think it's 10 days leading up to the meeting. The Fed governors and presidents and chairmen, they don't go out and make any public comments, which is good sometimes because you know my thought about a lot of these people at the Fed. We got a big problem with the Fed, in my opinion.
Such an idiot.
Yeah.
Such an
There you go.
idiot.
That's the thought about the Fed. So here's the issue. Half the Fed members are attorneys. Half the Fed members are economists. I don't think any of the Fed members have done anything in the way of assigning the front side of a paycheck. They're academics or they've worked in government. That's about it. So what's the issue there? What is our thought on that? Why do I bring that up? Well, they look at what's happened in the past. I just reported to you numbers of what's happening in the past. What I think the Fed is missing is saying, okay, what's going to happen in the future? What do these numbers mean? And how do I interpret them for the future? Economics. Boy, they drilled this into our heads when I was at Chapman College, now Chapman University. We study the past to understand the present in hopes of predicting the future. Okay, well, you got attorneys. They study the past and argue about it. Who's trying to predict the future? That's the issue right there. Whenever they say, it drives me nuts. They say, we're data dependent. Well, we don't have any data for October 2024. We have data for October 2023. Hard to figure that out. How are they projecting? What is their benefit there? Just throw that out to you. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. Again, when you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So as I mentioned, we are looking at the Federal Reserve cutting, and that's going to be a benefit for various instruments. And why do I say various instruments? Is it going to benefit mortgage rates? Probably not. Why? Well, here's the issue. Anything the Fed does is always telegraphed. So even while they're in their quiet period, every Fed chairman has what they call a mole, person that they'll leak information to. I'm sure it's not the chairman leaking it. I'm sure it's somebody on his staff that'll leak it. But they have somebody that they leak the information to who can kind of soften the market. It's the trial balloon. So if the Federal Reserve had an intention of going to 50, the market's thinking 25. The one thing the markets hate is surprises. So a 25 basis point cut is built into everything already. Mortgage rates, maybe not prime rate, but they know it's coming. The stock market, the bond market, everybody's got that 25 basis point cut built in. If the Fed was thinking about going to a 50 and the market doesn't have it built in, well, then what happens is somehow it gets leaked to the mole. Right now, the mole is Nick Timiraos from the Wall Street Journal. You'll notice that even during the comment period that goes on, that after their Fed meeting, so the way they do this, they have a 1 or 2 day meeting. At the end of the meeting at 11 o'clock our time, the Fed chairman or the statement is released. And they'll make it's a printed statement, and all the brainiacs in the news will parse it word by word to see if they change any single word in there. And if they change a single word, maybe from good to moderate or moderate to great or bad, whatever, they report that. Well, if the 2 meetings ago, Nick Timiraos was clarifying the chairman's commentary, because that happens at 11:30. They have a question and answer. So the chairman comes out, gives a speech, and then takes questions from the press. Well, either during or immediately after, Timiraos was clarifying what the chairman was saying. Surprise, surprise that they had somebody that was clarifying. You got to love it. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, the real story behind what's happening with home prices, what credit card users need to know if the Fed cuts rates in September, tiny behavioral shifts can lead to big changes in your finances. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. 1990, the real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals, rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com, the real story behind what's happening with home prices. Now, if you're wondering what's going on with home prices lately, you're definitely not the only one. With so much information out there, it can be hard to figure out your next move. As a buyer, you might be worried about paying more than you should. If you're thinking of selling, you might be concerned about getting the price you're aiming for. So here's a quick breakdown to help clear things up and show you what's really happening with prices, whether you're thinking about buying or about selling. Home prices growth is slowing, but prices are not falling nationally. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 FM 98.1 video feed, you're seeing a chart of home price appreciation moderating. What does that mean by moderating? Well, just think about, okay, I gained 5 pounds this month. Next month, I gained 3 pounds. Well, that doesn't mean I lost weight. I still gained weight. It's moderating. Maybe like that one, Josh. I used to use the freeway. That's a new one. He's laughing at me. Rest assured, this doesn't mean home prices are falling. In fact, all of the bars in the graph show price growth. So while you might hear talk of prices cooling, what really means is they're not climbing as fast as they were when they skyrocketed just a few years ago. What's next for home prices? It's all about supply and demand. You might be curious where prices will go from here. The answer depends on supply and demand and what's going to vary by local market. Yes, local market. If you want to know what's happening in your local market, well, we give you the information for free. You don't even have to pay for it because we do. rsrlinks.com/market report. rsrlinks.com/market report. You can actually get that report. Altos Research puts out a report every week, and they tell us exactly what's going on. They track every home for sale in the country. rsrlinks.com/market report. Nationally, the number of homes for sale is going up, but there still aren't enough of them to meet today's buyer demand. That's keeping upward pressure on prices. Even though recent inventory growth has caused that home price appreciation to slow, Danielle Hale, chief economist at Realtor.com, said that, quote, today's low but quickly improving for sale inventory has ushered in more market balance than would otherwise be expected. This should help some prices maintain a slower pace of growth, unquote. And here's one other thing you may not have considered that could play a role in where prices go from here. Since experts say mortgage rates should continue to decline, it's likely more buyers will re-enter the market in the months ahead. If demand picks up, that could make prices climb a bit further. So that's why you need to talk to a local real estate agent. Give me a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. While national trends give a big picture view, real estate is always local, especially when it comes to prices. What's happening in your neighborhood might be different from the national average based on what supply and demand look like in your market. That's why it's crucial to get local insights from a knowledgeable real estate agent. As your go-to source for everything related to home prices, a local real estate agent can provide the most current data and trends specific to your area. So if you're planning to sell, they can help you price your house accurately. And when you're ready to buy, they can find the right home that fits your budget needs. Bottom line, home prices are still rising, just not as quickly as before. Whether you're thinking about buying, selling, or just curious about what your house is worth, give me a call. 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. That is the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. Hey, just all you have to do is go into rsrmoney.com. Go to the fourth tab over on that big bar down the middle of the screen. And it says home value. And it'll give you an idea, 4 different sources of what your real estate value is. 3 of them are pretty good. Then there's Zillow is on there too, because we know you want to know what they have to say, even though they'll tell you if you dig deep into their website that their values can be off by as much as 30%. 30%. So I just throw that out there for you. Unbelievable. But if you want to know the property values, go there. We put together a unique dashboard for every one of our private clients. We have a dashboard set up with their household board of directors along with specific data to their property. And some of the data stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else in the marketplace. We update it all on a very regular basis, so you're always getting the most current data. Again, if you want us just to adopt your mortgage because maybe your mortgage professional left the industry, RJ at ronsiegelradio.com, RJ at ronsiegelradio.com. Just send a copy of your mortgage statement. We need to have a little bit of information from you. We need to have a phone number and an email address, and we'll put it out there. Remember, there's nothing that's on your mortgage statement, or basically there's nothing on your mortgage statement that's not public information. You can go in and look. I mean, there might be a little bit of tweaks here and there, but for the most part, when you go into the county recorder's website, which anybody that has any sense in real estate, lending, or as a realtor, real estate agent, you can go into the county recorder's office and call a title person, and they'll say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, they took out their mortgage in September 17th of 2023. And if we look at Freddie Mac, interest rates on that in that week were X. So the idea is it's going to be pretty close to what your interest rate is. The loan amount was Y, and we can figure out what the payments are from that. You can look at an amortization table, see approximately what the balance due is today. Public information. And you can say, okay, they're good. They don't need any help. They've got the best thing possible. But what if one of the 6 Ds came into their life? Diplomas, diamonds, diapers, divorce, death, default. Those are the 6 Ds. What if something like life happens? If you had some of that, well, then maybe you want to take action. Maybe there's something you need to do. And if you look, I think we talked about this yesterday a little bit. But if we look at some of the numbers that are coming up, there you've got a lot of equity in your property. If you're like most people, you can look at, I have charts all the time that we use, and we look at the home value, we look at the equity, we look at debt. And right now there's a lot of home equity out there. 39.3% own the home free and clear. We've talked about that. So why do I bring that up? Well, because right now, California real estate is high risk. Yes, I said it. It's high risk. Why do I believe California real estate is high risk? Now, you can mitigate that risk. Why are insurance companies leaving the state? Because they see home values as being risky. Well, do we think that the prices are going to go down because the prices are going to go down? No. Prices are going to go down because of existential threats outside of our control. Land shifting in Rancho Palos Verdes, the horrible, horrible fires that are going on all over our state, or at least Southern California. They're not in Northern California this time, it doesn't look like. But those things all affect home values. Well, there's 39.3% of the people own their home free and clear. 29.9% have a mortgage on their homes with 50% with greater than 50% equity. That means they owe less than 50%. 30.8% mortgage homes with less than 50% equity. So you've got 30.8 with less than 50 and 29.9 with more than 50%. Well, all of those folks have an opportunity. Well, maybe they need to consolidate their debt. Maybe they need to do something along those lines. Maybe they need to diversify. And we don't say diversify to go buy a car, a boat, or something like that. Diversify into something that is safe and secure. Now, I know about some of these products. I can't tell you too much about them. I can tell you what I would be looking at. Not advice for you because I'm not licensed to give you advice, but I'd be looking at the bi-directional funds that we've heard Todd Halterman talk about. I would be looking into maybe some of the index universal life insurance policies that some of our guests have talked about that have a floor where you're not going to lose money as long as the insurance company doesn't go bankrupt. And even then, historically, no one's ever lost money in insurance. But you look at some of those things. Have you had it even, on a side note, rabbit trail, have you even had an insurance checkup? A lot of folks bought whole life insurance or universal insurance when they were younger, and they just made their payments. And now the insurance cost has gone up because they've aged. Well, if you looked at what your cash value is, what happens if you take your cash value out of that and put it into something else, into maybe a term life policy? Again, I don't sell these things. I only throw out ideas for you to check with your financial board of directors. Again, I've coined the term household board of directors. And again, if you don't know people that are doing these things, I do, because I talk to them on a regular basis. We put together these things for people on a regular basis. All you got to do is give us a call. And as I've said before, diversify. Yesterday, we talked a lot about location. Not just of where you live, but where you have your money parked. 39.3%. Call it 40%. Let's see, 142 homes in Rancho Palos Verdes. 142 times 40%. Is that 56 people, 56 families that saw a lot of the value of their property drop, maybe all of it? It's not something I like to talk about or pine about, but it's reality. So when I talk to you about safety, liquidity, and return, well, safety of where you've got your money located is important. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, well, I usually try to, I don't get to everything. What credit card users need to know if the Fed cuts rates in September. Tiny behavioral shifts can lead to big changes in your finances. All that and more. Reach me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, There are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters segment today. Borrow Smart segment being brought to you by rsrhomeselect.com, rsrhomeselect.com. Tiny behavioral shifts can lead to big changes in your finances. Put 6 months of emergency savings aside. Save your retirement, have a budget, save more than you spend. You're likely well aware of the basic tenets of sound financial habits and what you should be doing with your money to take care of past, present, and future you. But actually doing those things is an entirely different story. So why do we make illogical choices about our money that aren't in our best interest? The reason can be partly chalked up to behavioral economics, or the merger of psychology and economics. We'll go over a few of these cognitive distortions and how to build solid habits to improve our overall money situation. Putting things off until tomorrow, or using tomorrow's money today because we don't want to. That's all your credit card is, right? Your credit card is saying, I really can't afford this, so I'm going to pull that desire into today. We plan to start our diets tomorrow and plan to behave better in the future, says some of the the scientists. But tomorrow always becomes today, and we start that process over again. This is according to Scott Rick, a behavioral scientist at the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business. We always have less willpower than we plan to have. In turn, we end up putting off those changes that can help us getting our head around how credit scores work, setting up an emergency savings account, or speaking to a financial advisor on our retirement goals, to name a few. Going for short-term gain instead of long-term reward. A handful of studies show that the brain is wired to choose immediate gratification over long-term reward. Why is that? In part, it's because when it comes to decisions that have to do with immediate rewards, the brain is more heavily influenced by neural systems linked with emotion. We have a lot of lofty plans, but there are just immediate temptations that loom larger than future benefits of restraining ourselves, according to Rick. Things that happen in any later point than now, we tend to care less about. The prescription, you don't know enough to get started. With the litany of personal financial books, publications, and talking heads out there, it's easy to feel like you don't know enough. Plus, you might feel overwhelmed and not sure where to get started with making moves to better your finances. Someone might not feel they have the financial literacy required to do something meaningful with their money. Many people would score well on a financial literacy quizzes, but if you ask them, how many questions do you think you got right? They underestimate how well they did. Some people feel this stuff is daunting and they don't realize they're actually capable of navigating it. Why do you think we put out the quiz? rsrlinks.com/FHIQ, rsrlinks.com/FHIQ. Take the quiz. It doesn't take hardly any time. See what your score is. What can you do about it? Now that we've gone over some of the cognitive distortions and biases about your finances, here are some tips on making small moves. It's these minor shifts you can make today that lead to long-term changes that can lead to major improvements. Add barriers to your spending. As they say, make it hard to do the wrong thing and easy to do the right thing. To curb overspending, puts up speed bumps, suggests Rick. When you throw up these speed bumps, it'll make it harder for you to spend, he says. For instance, delete your credit card info from online platforms like Amazon and your favorite online retailers, or unlink your PayPal account. Train yourself to be financially prudent. Individuals who are prudent have a tough time spending and can actually feel pain when they part with their money. These behaviors can help you slow down your spending. You can also slow down your spending by entering all your physical receipts into a spreadsheet. Sounds burdensome? That's the point. Plus, it'll help you remember what you spent your money on. Have an accountability buddy. Having someone who can help. That's my wife. She always tells me what I can't do. Having someone who can help you keep tabs on your spending can help you stay on track with your goals. For instance, you can touch base about once a week with someone you trust in your tribe, a friend, partner, family members, spouse on how much you spend on discretionary purchases, or maybe you can give a weekly update of your savings or debt payoff goals. These check-ins don't need to be extensive by any means. Automate your savings. When you're overwhelmed by your money, automating your savings can give you a motivational boost and help you make long-term changes, and it doesn't have to be a significant amount. Even starting with a few bucks a week can add up to over several months. The key is get the ball rolling and lay the groundwork for your savings goals. That way, when you're feeling more confident and are raking in more income, you'll be able to save more and see the pile of cash grow quickly. When you have less to spend, you may learn to work with what you have. This can also help you save more aggressively. Do a financial audit. It's also good to reassess your budget regularly. This can include review your budget for some needs, review subscriptions to see which ones you need or may be able to remove. Check your progress on paying off debt, review progress on your emergency fund. Check your FICO scores. Cleanall3.com. Cleanall3.com is our source for that. Look into new bank accounts that might be better fit for your needs. Shop around for better auto and homeowners insurance. Do that all the time. Bottom line, small changes are good hygiene. It's not going to have immediate transformative effects, but it can just spend some time adapting your practices, like cleaning up your wallet and online accounts. Maybe there are Excel files or researching online banking sites that work for you. Just give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. We are happy to give you a hand with that. That's the Borrow Smart segment, brought to you by RSRHomeselect.com, RSRHomeselect.com. Do we have time to get one more in? No? Okay, so we won't. We'll save what credit card users need to know from the September rate cut for next time. Okay, so I guess I didn't hit my clock here to see what was going on. As always, we ask, hit that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only talk about items that affect your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Tides that I tried to swim against.